And for more, I want to bring in ABC contributor LZ Granderson. LZ, thanks for being here. You know, this is a moment of racial reckoning in our country. We've seen these protests across the country for months now. What does this decision mean for this movement?
Well, it means that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. There are so many disturbing elements to this case regarding Breonna Taylor that I would take up your entire show just to go through them all. But I think overall what it shows is that there is a legitimate reason why there continues to be distrust between minorities in particular and law enforcement. I don't know how you can look at some of the evidence, such as a plea deal offer being made to Breonna's ex-boyfriend if he were to say Breonna was part of a drug syndicate in July. Why do you need to do that if everything you did was justified? I tell you why, because you're trying to cover your tracks. And so when you see things like that, it makes it very difficult to think justice has been served or will be served.
And LZ, I know there's so much to unpack with this one, but is there anything in particular that you think makes this case such a flashpoint?
There are a couple of things. There's some retreads. For example, the officer that was fired in June. Why is that important? Because the incident happened in March. In other words, the officer in question wasn't fired until protests began. If you were following proper procedures, why wasn't he fired back in March? Because they were trying to get away with it. Other things that are very, very disturbing about this case is the simple fact that, you know, when you look at the boyfriend who fired the shots, the reason why the case was dropped wasn't because prosecutors had a change of heart. It was because when they submitted the evidence to the grand jury, they forgot to submit or chose not to submit his reasoning for shooting, which was he thought that he was protecting his house because he didn't know they were police officers. They didn't mention that in the grand jury. The judge dropped the freaking charges because they were trying to railroad him into being prosecuted for attempted murder. There are just so many things about this case that are so disturbing. And the fact that Breonna Taylor, as a Black woman, has had her name lifted up is also important because of the fact that we tend to simply focus in on what happens to Black and brown men, not the women. So say her name as a rallying cry, and Breonna Taylor in particular, is really important because it reminds all of us that this just isn't a problem that affects men. This affects women as well.
All right, LZ Granderson, we appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.